Troublemaker, a Dave Brandstetter mystery. Book 3. Author, Joseph Hansen. Publisher, Open Road Media. Narrator, Eric Ost. This one is dedicated to Ken Thompson. Chapter 11. Dwayne, Huntsy said, "I don't need no lawyer. I am a lawyer." He wore new cowboy boots, the tooling dyed deep reds and purples. His pants were stripped and sharply creased. His belt served as a sling for his pink satin-shirted belly. It was a new belt with wrought silver buckle, the size of a pack of playing cards. He stood big and bow-legged and blinking under a crimped brim straw cowboy hat in Yeshiva's night office. 2 uniformed California highway patrolman guns on hips guarding the door behind him. "I can handle this." "You were a lawyer," Yeshiva said, "but that was in Texas and some time ago." He leaped over a Xeroxed record file. "You were disbarred in 1957 for bribing jurors. You served time for it." He sat back, laid a hand on the file, blinked through the desk light. "You serve time pretty often. Didn't anybody ever tell you? The man who acts as his own lawyer has a fool for a client." "Man don't need no lawyer that tells the simple truth." Huntsy shifted a lump of tobacco from one whiskery cheek to the other, nodded, eyeing a chair. "Can I sit down? That was kind of a long ride from Saugus." "Help yourself," Yeshiva said. "You understand that this is a serious case of murder." "I didn't figure you'd have every lawman in the state scouring nickel and dime trailer camps to haul me back here just for pissing in the same alley." "But you got the wrong man. I never killed nobody." He dropped his loose bulk onto a hard chair. "Who is it's dead?" "Richard William Wendell," Yeshiva said. From a corner, a deputy district attorney in Levi's and a little league cap asked, "Know the name?" "I heard of it." Huntsy jerked a nod. "We've got a suspect locked up," Yeshiva said. "Lawrence Henry Johns. You know that name too, right?" "Right." The mother of the victim found John standing over the body, cleaning off the gun the victim was shot with. "Well, almighty God," Huntsy said moderately. "Ain't that enough?" "It's a little too much," Dave said. He leaned on a file cabinet, nursing a paper cup of coffee and smoking. "The only fingerprints on the weapon belong to the mother. There are powder burns on the hand and chest of the deceased, whose gun it was, and $1,500 is missing from his desk." "Oh," Huntsy said. "Who are you?" Dave told him. Wind that smiled of warm night ocean it breathed in at the open window next to him. "No one can account for that $1,500. We have an idea you might." "Me?" Huntsy tried for a laugh, but it broke out, and there was fear in his watery blue eyes. "How the hell did you scrounge up that idea? Will you tell me?" Yeshiva looked at the armed men. "Open that door, will you, and tell them to send in the witness." Jomay Johns was blonde and scrubbed as a child, but her jeans and blouse were grubby. She didn't look more than 12. Her hair was a baroque complex of yellow upsweeps and downfalls. "You son of a bitch," she said to Huntsy. "You run off and left me without no clothes or nothing. Me and BB, plus you stole that money, you dirty old bastard. You didn't just steal it, you stole it twice." Huntsy eyed her and shifted the char again. "Where'd you get it, too?" "I left you and BB getting malts and french fries at that there McDonald's, and when I come back, you were no place to be seen." "You're a liar," she said. "You drove off in the camper. When you didn't come for your food, I went out in the lot and looked. Wasn't no camper there. I had $17 change and didn't know nobody in town." Huntsy spread big hands. "I discovered I didn't have no more tobacco. I went looking for some. This here ain't chewing tobacco country, sweetheart. I had one hell of a time when I come back and you're gone." "Bullshit," she said. "Bullshit." She looked outraged from one to another of the shadowy figures in the office. "Do you believe this old bullshitter?" "Take it easy," Yeshiva told her. "Larson, give her a chair, will you? Sit down, Mrs. Johns." While the Little League DA got up and fumbled in the crowded half-dark, getting the chair out of the corner, Yeshiva said to Huntsy, "This witness Says you had in your possession at 11 o'clock Monday night a large bundle of $20 bills. I had 'em, Huntsy said. Where'd you get them? They was owing. And I collected 'em, Huntsy said. Owing? Yeshiva said. To whom? For what? Back of him, propped against the window ledge, the public defender Kazoan in a black mohair suit and a ruffled shirt front yawned noisily. Huntsy squinted at him past the glare of the desk lamp. We can get this over with quick and let that man get home to bed, he said. I got him off the desk in that little house next to the big house up there on Pinion Trail in that canyon. House belonging to, way I understood it, this here Wendell. The fellow which her little runaway husband, he nodded at Dim Jomay. The one you call Lawrence Henry John says he was going to get the money from he owed. Just as simple as that, Yeshiva said. Huntsy nodded, rose, creaked in the new boots to the window. Kazoan stepped aside. Huntsy spat a long brown stream of tobacco juice into the night. Whipping his mouth with a hand, he turned back. Just as simple as that. Not a dead body in it. Larry was to collect the money, and I was to drive out to that Barney-looking place on the beach and get it off him next morning. Hell, I saved him and me both trouble, that was all. You too, Joey, honey. If you'd only kept your pretty little ass on that there plastic stool in McDonald's. I don't think you're a trouble saver, Yeshiva said. I think you're a troublemaker, and I bet I'm not the first person who's told you that. How did you find Wendell's? Did you follow him, and John's up there? No. With a sigh, the big old man dropped onto his chair again. First, I figured to call in on him at his place of business, but time I got here and BB into a movie she was half willing to see. You think combing and fixing all that pretty yellow hair don't take time. You ain't lived much with women. I got there too late. There was some sissy boy back of the bar, and I asked him. Wendell had left. So I looked up Wendell in the phone book and took me a little drive up there. Nice night for it. I thought you wanted us to get to bed, Kazoan complained. You want to cut to the good part. All right, Huntsy said agreeably. I got up there and seen him through the window standing by the desk. Wendell took this envelope out of his jacket and tore it open and took out these bundles of bills and showed them to Larry. They left the room. I stepped in, picked the money up off the desk, stepped out again. There it is, all of it. The plain and simple truth. Not only wasn't there no murder in it, there wasn't no theft neither. Ask her. Don't he owe you that money, Joey? Not anymore, she said. You do. Hold on, Yeshiva said. John says they heard you. Wendell came out. There was an argument and a struggle, and a gun went off. You didn't walk out of there with that money, not till Wendell had pulled a gun on you, and you'd wrestled with him, and it had gone off and killed him. Then you left, but I'll bet it wasn't at a walk. It was, Huntsy said, and nobody come out of that other room. The door stayed shut. He tilted the straw hat back, tilted the chair back, ran a thick finger along the stubbly edge of his tobacco working jaw. But somebody did run. Somebody. Kazoan made a waking up sound. Huntsy looked at him. Sure. You don't think I'd open up and tell you all this if I didn't think I had some chance of proving it, do you? There was a witness. I seen him running. Away up the back there. Yeshiva picked up a pen. Description. Ah, nah, Lieutenant. You know better than that. It was pitch dark up there. Big pines all around. But you did say him, Yeshiva said. You know it was a man. He glanced back and up at Dave. Huntsy said, well, no. Now that you mention it, guess I don't. Scowling to himself, he let the chair legs down with a clack, got up, and went to the window again to spit. Could have been a she-male. Did have a big handbag on, the kind they wear on a strap over their shoulder. Seen it banging against her hip when she ran off through the trees. Him. You didn't follow, Dave asked. What for? I had what I come for, purely legal. But I can give you a lead. He paused, chewing, watching their faces. When I got down to the camper, there was another car parked there. One of them fancy pickups, you know. Look more like a sports car than a truck. El Camino? Yeshiva said. That's it. Was a truck, though. Little name, lettered real modest on the door. Thomas Owens? AIA? My lord! Why, that's the name of that fella Larry was eating off of in that beach place, ain't it, Owens? What does this mean? Gail Ewing blocked the doorway, far down the room. At her back, light from a wicker-shaded swag lamp islanded the grouped furniture by the hooded fireplace and made black mirrors of the tall glass wall panels. She wore a housecoat and no makeup. Her eyelids were swollen, her speech thick. She pushed at rumpled hair. Do you realize what time it is? On the deck, the dark dunes at their back, Yeshiva, Kazoan, Larson, and Dave watched sea wind play with the long yellow hair of Jome Johns, who had pressed the bell push. Yeshiva held his wallet above the girl's head, let it fall open. Police, he said. Like to come in and talk to you a few minutes. No, not tonight, Gail Ewing backed. Started to shut the door. There's an invalid in the house. Everyone else is asleep. I've taken a sleeping pill myself, and I simply wouldn't be. Sorry, Mrs. Ewing, but it can't wait. Yeshiva put square, thick hands on the Johns girl's little shoulders and pushed her ahead of him into the room. Gail Ewing was forced to back up. Yeshiva moved in. Larson and Kazoan followed, and then Dave. Gail Ewing narrowed the yellow eyes at him. You, she said, you're responsible for this. You know better than that, Dave said. If anyone's responsible, it's you. If you'd gone to your brother with Larry's problem, he'd have given the boy the money he needed or gotten him a lawyer, done what was necessary. None of the rest of it would have happened. I refuse to believe that, her chin thrust out stubbornly. She turned to the squad policeman. Lieutenant Yeshiva, I've told you my brother's an invalid. He's not to be disturbed. I don't think we'll have to disturb him. Yeshiva shut the door quietly, firmly. You can probably answer our questions. I don't have to. She clutched the robe at her throat. I'm entitled to an attorney. Yeshiva's eyebrows rose a fraction of an inch. You're not charged with anything. Larson stepped forward, taking off his Little League cap. He was going bald under it. I'm George Larson. Mrs. Ewing, Deputy District Attorney. This is Art Kazoan. He's an attorney, also public defender's office. We'll see that your rights are protected in every way. Her mouth twitched, but she didn't answer him. She turned her anger on the little blonde girl. What are you doing back here? Haven't you caused enough trouble? Mother! Are you out of your mind? Trudy's voice came from the shadowy top of the wooden bird flight stairs. She was a slim silhouette, something bulky in her arms, down the high gallery. Behind her, light made a yellow rectangle of a doorway. She's come back for her baby. Oh, God. Gail Ewing shut her eyes, rubbed her forehead. For Christ's sake, Mark Diamond was a jerky shadow in the lighted doorway. Kicking into pants, he came fast along the gallery, buttoning his fly to stand beside Trudy. Tom wants her to stay here anyhow. You know that. It's the damn sleeping pill, Gail Ewing shouted at him. I loathe the things. I wouldn't have taken one if it weren't for all this. She finished the sentence with a frantic flipping of her hands. She said to Jome, Go along, child. I'm sorry. Jome glared sourly at her and went for the stairs. Trudy called down to her. It's all right. She slept all the time you were gone. Jome climbed the stairs. Yeshiva told Gail Ewing, What we need to know is about Mr. Owen's car. The El Camino, the one parked up in the port now. Who drove it? Monday night. He didn't. With 2 broken legs? Her tone scathed him. Your powers of deductions are amazing, Lieutenant. Sarcasm is wasted on Orientals, Mrs. Ewing. Yeshiva said, We're extremely impassive. Slights and abuse run off our backs like water off a duck. A mandarin duck, of course. Forgive me, she said stiffly. I don't know anything about the car. I was at a city council meeting that night. I drove my own car. I thought Trudy smashed up your car, Dave said. I have a replacement, Gail Ewing said. Thanks to Sequoia Accident and Indemnity Corporation, Mr. Brandstetter. She smiled coldly. Insurance, remember? Larson said. On halting offshore oil drilling? What? Yeshiva looked at him. That was what the city council session was about, Larson said. I was there myself. I saw Mrs. Ewing. She studied him, nodded. Yes, that's right. So who had the car? Yeshiva asked again. No one, she said. Mark Diamond, Dave said. He looked up the stairs. The boy wasn't standing beside the girls and the baby anymore. Dave started to turn for the door. Yeshiva stopped him. Don't sweat it. They're out there. He meant 2 uniformed officers who had followed them up the dark coast road in a patrol car. Who's out there? Gail Ewing asked sharply, and tried to push past them to the door. Someplace out of sight and a half out of hearing, the dogs began to bark. Take it easy, Mrs. Ewing. Yeshiva stepped in front of her. We just want to talk to the boy. What do you mean? Trudy came down the stairs at a run. She was barefoot again in the same gray bells and a pleat shirt, breast showing firm through the thin cloth. She didn't wear the sunglasses tonight, though, and the bruises around her eyes, along with the missing teeth, made her young face an old mask. Talk to him about what? He didn't do anything. He couldn't. He wasn't here Monday night, Dave said. Your uncle said you were alone in the house with him when Larry turned up missing. Where was Mark? She said defiantly. He went to see a man in the audiovisual department at UCLA. Someone he had a letter of introduction to from his department head. He'd been putting it off, and that night he decided to go and get it over with. And not take you? Dave asked. I had to be here, she explained it to him as to a little child, to take and look after Tom. The door swung inward. They all looked at the black oblong. Sea wind came in, and so did 2 uniformed men holding Mark Diamond by the arms. Between them, he was bare-chested, barefoot. He was going to take off, Lieutenant, in the El Camino. Let go of him, Trudy flung herself at them. Yeshiva caught her easy. Easy, he said. It's going to be all right. We just want to ask him a couple of simple questions. Trudy stared frightened past the lieutenant's bulky shoulder at the boy with the helmet of black hair. She was asking her own questions. Not aloud with her eyes, Larson said. You were up at the Wendell house on Monday night, weren't you? Diamond was very pale. I don't get this, he said. I don't get this at all. He squinted and twisted his face. What house? Wendell. He was killed that night, remember? Yeshiva said. A kid who lived here, a kid by the name of Larry Johns, is being held for his murder. Does that clear it up for you? Oh, Christ, Diamond breathed. His eyes were on Trudy's face. They seemed to plead. So you do know who I'm talking about? Yeshiva asked. Diamond tried a mystified laugh. What would I be doing up there? I went to UCLA that night. Is that right? Did you see the man you had the letter of introduction to? What's his name? Something went out of Diamond's face. He wasn't there. Nobody was there, but that doesn't mean... Somebody was at Wendell's, Yeshiva said. He tells us a pickup with the name Thomas Owens on the door was parked at the foot of the stairs by the mailboxes on Pinion Trail. Mrs. Ewing here didn't drive the car. Mr. Owens didn't drive it. He told Brandstetter his niece was here with him that night. She says you weren't, and you do have a key to that car. That's the key there in your hand, isn't it? I want a lawyer, Mark Diamond said. Mark? Gail Ewing gasped. Oh, my God. She was very white. She caught at Larson's arm. He steadied her. Mark Diamond watched her, bewildered. What's wrong with you? You hated Larry Johns as much as I did. More. Oh, but Mark, the death of an innocent man? What? What the hell are you saying? Diamond struggled in the grip of the officers. Now, wait just a fucking minute. Gail, I didn't kill anyone. He looked wildly from Yeshiva to Larson to Kazoan to Dave. I never said that. I didn't. He didn't, Trudy said. He couldn't have. Fine, Yeshiva said. So, what were you doing there? Diamond sulked. I want a lawyer. I think I can tell you what he was doing there, Dave said. He followed Larry Johns, and he took along his trusty tape recorder. It's a portable, hangs in a case on a shoulder strap. That was what Dwayne Hunsey mistook for a woman's handbag when he saw him running off through the trees. That how it was? Yeshiva asked Diamond. Sick, the boy turned his head. After a moment's disgusted silence, he drew breath, let it out, and said wearily, "Yeah, I brought the dogs inside. There's a room for them at the back under the carport, and I heard Larry on the kitchen phone asking for money, agreeing to meet this Rick on the coast road 8 that night. It proved what I knew he was." He looked at Trudy. "A hustler. The kind that peddles sex to perverts." "You're eating Tom Owen's food," Dave told him. "Sleeping under his roof. That's a hell of a word." The dark boy flushed. "Okay, homosexuals. Gays. Whatever you want. I'm sorry." He looked at Trudy again. "I told you, but you wouldn't believe me. He was so sweet. He'd had such a lousy life. I had to prove to you what he was." So, he faced Yeshiva again. "I took my recorder and stood outside Wendell's window, and I got a tape." "Mark," Trudy said, "you didn't. That's revolting, stinking spine. What are you?" "In love with you, dummy." Mark struggled to break from the officers. Again he said to Yeshiva, "I've still got it. I kept it. Didn't play it for Trudy because after that night Larry was gone anyway. If you'll let me, I'll get it and you can hear it. You'll love it. Trudy, you'll really love your fair-haired cracker when you hear that tape." Yeshiva said, "Go with him, Ramirez." Minutes later, the tape recorder, black leather case, laid open like the lid of a coffin, stood on the big, low deal table under the light, its 5-inch reels of clear plastic winking as they turned. Gail Ewing sat stone-faced on the long wicker couch, Trudy next to her, biting her nails, watching Mark, who stood over the machine. Yeshiva and Dave flanked him. Larson and Kazoan stood at the end of the table. The uniformed officers leaned by the front door. Jermaine John sat in the dark at the top of the stairs with BB asleep in her lap. Their hair glowed like that of angels in a painting darkened by centuries of soot. Dave wished he had a drink. The tape stopped hissing to itself. Distances of crickets skirred. There was the far-lost drone of a jet plane, a voice deep and rumbling that still managed to have something feminine about it, said, "It's in here, safe and sound. I haven't even opened it. $1,500 in small bills. Wasn't that what you said?" Paper rattled and tore. "See? There. Do you want to count it? Go ahead. Count it, if you want to." Another rattle of paper. Rick, I don't want to count it, man." This was Larry John's voice, hard and echoey in the room. "And look, I'll pay it back, I promise. I mean it." There was a knocking sound. Perhaps a shoe had kicked a desk leg. Wendell's voice, again above a rustling whisper of cloth. "Oh, Larry, no, it's my gift. You don't know what it means to have you come back. How I've dreamed, hoped, wished, prayed. When you phoned today, I cried. I really cried with happiness. Larry John's voice cut across Wendell's. "No, I don't take money for sex, Rick. It's a loan, man. I'll get a gig and pay you back. Otherwise..." "All right, Larry, all right. Now just let me hold you." Oh, God, a long silence, a low moaning. Then I whispered, "Now, Larry? Please now?" "Yes, in here. Yes, yes." A latch rattled, a door swung, brushing carpet hinges, squeaking slightly. A door closed. The crickets went on with their shrill, plaintive pulsing. There was a scuff of shoe leather on cement, a crackling of leaves under soles. The tape clicked. The empty hissing started again. Mark Diamond leaned, reached, punched a plastic key. The reels halted. Yeshiva stood frowning for a moment in the sea-sighing silence, then touched the machine with a shoe. "They don't exactly beat the camera, do they?" What with the dialogue?" Diamond flushed darkly, shifted his feet, rubbed his smooth brown chest. "Oh, well, he took the envelope out of his jacket. He tore it open and took out packs of bills. He tried to give them to Larry, but he wouldn't touch them, so the big stud, Wendell, he thumbed the edges, as if to show Larry the bread was all there or something." "Right." The dark boy gestured uneasily. "What do you want me to say? I mean, okay, he dropped the envelope and money on the desk," and Diamond glanced unhappily at Gail and Trudy on the couch up into the dimness where Jermaine sat silent. "Well, it was kind of freaky to watch, Made me feel a little nauseated. I mean, he started running his hands over Larry like he was a girl. Wow. Ugh. Through his hair and all that. Diamond looked at the floor, blew air out through his nostrils, mumbled, held his head, tipped it back, and kissed him on the mouth. Took him in his arms. Diamond looked up. Hell, Lieutenant, I don't want to. Yeah, okay, kid. They went into the other room? Right. And I was relieved when they did. And you left. Did you? Dave wondered. I wanted to, but the windows on that other room were open too because it was a hot night. I knew I ought to go there if I was going to get real proof for Trudy, and I took a step in that direction when I see the door from outside open and this lifelike inflatable Gabby Hayes pokes his head in, whiskers chewing tobacco. You could smell stockyards 20 feet off. He takes a quick look around, walks straight to the desk, picks up the bread, and walks out with it. Wow! I don't know what to do. I couldn't do anything, could I? I mean, I was in a very ridiculous position. That wouldn't be my word, Dave said. It was contemptible. Trudy sprang up and walked into the dark. Disgusting. It makes me sick. Yeshiva said, So you ran, did you? Diamond was looking worriedly after Trudy. What? Yeah, I ran. Waited up in the trees till I heard his truck drive off down the road. Then I got out of there. Yeshiva looked at Larson. I want to book him on failure to report a felony. Larson glanced at the beautiful, expensive room. He'd be out on OR tomorrow morning. He put the Little League cap on again. Waste of time. Nobody saw him leave, Yeshiva said. Oh, Larson said. You want to book him for the murder? You'd have to let Johns out then. Kazoan said, That sounds good to me. Forget it, Yeshiva said. I should think so, Gail Ewing said indignantly. Just don't go anywhere, Yeshiva told Mark Diamond. A Gay Mysteries audiobooks. I think it is easy to hate a label, but a face humanizes the word. So this effort is twofold. To offer comfort to those like myself that your world didn't end because you don't fit into the view of acceptable society on both sides. And in hopes of helping those with family that are LGBTQ, that it doesn't mean we are aliens from the child they once knew. Reassure them so they can maybe be supportive at the same time, being true to their values.